didn't have time to make a video this weekend, and I didn't have time to make a video last weekend either, which means I'm still like a few videos behind, but I still wanted to make something. So today we're going to be making pizza, and I'm going to be talking about the things I would have made videos about if I had the time. So thank you very much for joining me. I hope the audio isn't too awful, and you probably won't be able to actually see what I'm doing, but I thought it was more important that you should be able to see me like you normally would in a video. Let's just try and tilt you a little bit. And so that's what we're going to be doing. And the first topic, maybe the main topic that we're talking about, is the Red Skull Jordan Peterson phenomenon. I don't know, I won't be able to do the usual visuals that I do when I make videos, and I can put up something on the screen, but I hope that some of you will already have seen that the official Captain America comic books have apparently used Jordan Peterson as a kind of blueprint for the philosophy of the Red Skull, or Red Skull I think he's called. I'm calling him the Red Skull. But they used Jordan Peterson's kind of philosophy as the Red Skull's rhetoric, basically. So this is the way that the Red Skull is attracting followers for his army of, disenfranchised young men, is by using these Jordan Peterson type talking points. And there's a few. I won't be able to read out the exact quotes, but it's not subtle at all. It's not open for interpretation. It's literally, it's lampshaded almost. The way that they've done it, they've included a lot of very specific references to Jordan Peterson, and this is a little bit strange because it came up for me. It was strange for me because this happened just after I'd finished doing a live stream last week, or maybe the week before, talking about Fight Club and the philosophy of the villain in Fight Club, if you can call Tyler Durden the villain. This very persuasive rhetoric that also appeals to the same kind of demographic, that is young, disenfranchised young men in particular. And what I couldn't get my head around in that stream, and talking to my friends about it kind of helped, but what I realized was that the rhetoric doesn't matter. Like, what Tyler Durden is saying, or whatever Red Skull is saying, to some extent it's not really relevant to what they're actually doing. So the fact that Tyler Durden, if you haven't seen Fight Club, you might not know what that means, but the fact that Red Skull is using the things that Jordan Peterson says, which in real life do appeal to a certain kind of young man and are very popular, and inspire this very zealous, what do you call it, a following. He's got a very dedicated following who find what he says extremely meaningful, and that to the point where I think if Jordan Peterson wanted to become a terrorist leader, I'm not saying all of his fans would go along with it, but he'd probably get more than one, let's just say, where Jordan Peterson, he chooses to tell people, he has a lot of criticisms of current day sort of social justice, and the someone who's like the way I'm slicing peppers. Well, I'm going kind of slowly because I'm trying to think what I'm talking about, but I think this is the best way of slicing peppers. But what I'm saying is the fact that Jordan Peterson's only message is to clean your room and to pet a cat if you should encounter one on the street, that's kind of independent of what I think it is that makes Jordan Peterson popular. It's not that he's telling people to clean their room exactly, although that became a meme. That's not the thing that inspires this this phenomenon that is his advice and his psychology lectures, his book. That's not the thing that is making people feel so energized and motivated. I think it's probably everything. The fact that he has a lot of very clever criticisms of modern day political discourse. He's a good commentator, but he's also telling people to take responsibility for their life and pointing out very interesting things about human psychology and the way that the modern life is not really set up to help people optimally. There's a very significant group of people who are not being helped by all of the advances that we've got in our modern lives. And what I'm saying is, it's conceivable that someone like Red Skull could take some of these ideas, which have nothing bad to do with them on the face of it. There's nothing wrong with inspiring passion in young men. It's just that what Red Skull then gets these people to do, and what Tyler Durden in Fight Club gets these guys to do, is basically engage in terrorism. And I think once you have a what do you call it, almost like a religion, like once you set up a cult, you can get Charles Manson did the same thing, where he just he said a lot of things that were actually quite clever. If you ever listen to Charles Manson, it is quite he's very charismatic, and he's quite he's intelligent. He's probably super intelligent, and it's not hard to understand why people would want to do what he says, because it sounds smarter than what you've been hearing your whole life up to that point. And I think there's nothing inherently wrong with a lot of the stuff that Charles Manson said is not incorrect. The Unabomber has some very convincing points to make as well, and it's not to say that justifies what they did just because they were right about a few things. And I think my friend Oren McIntyre put it best when we were talking about Fight Club. He said that I just realized I have been slicing the peppers wrong, because this is how I slice peppers when I put them into like a stew, but actually when I put them on pizza I usually slice them very thinly. Anyway, that was just me on autopilot, but it doesn't really matter. They'll still go on the pizza fine. Although I usually don't put a full pepper on as well. I guess I'll use the rest tomorrow when we have the next pizza. Do you want to have a quick shot of the peppers, see how I'm doing? It just looks like a chopped up pepper. I'm not going to change the camera view just for that. It's not an easy way of doing it. And getting back to what I'm talking about, I think that if you look at modern day terrorist organizations, whether it's even ISIS, or people go on about the Proud Boys and how they're a white supremacist organization, but the fact is that none of these, I don't think any of these terrorist organizations, or any organizations at all, would be popular if they didn't have something correct to say. And that's what I was going to say. My friend Oren McIntyre made the point that having half of something smart to say is much worse than having nothing smart to say at all. So if you like Tyler Durden in Fight Club, if you're able to articulate the problem accurately, people are likely to follow your prescribed solution, which in Tyler Durden's case was terrorism. In Jordan Peterson's case, it's tidy up your room and take responsibility for your own life. Don't tell lies, and a lot of very innocuous stuff. He doesn't tell people to blow up buildings or to to do anything bad. As far as I know, his advice is extremely mild and moderate. But you can imagine if Jordan Peterson said most of the same stuff, but instead of telling people to clean their room, he told them to join a cult with him and engage in illegal activities of some kind. Like I said at the start, I think you could probably imagine that he could have perhaps not the same kind of power that the Red Skull has, but something similar to that. And I think it's out of the question that something like that could happen, because it's just compelling. You get this effect of having this charismatic leader. Arguably that's what happened in Nazi Germany, although I'm not going to go into that too much. We're definitely going to get demonetized Not that I don't think this is monetized anyway, but I know YouTube doesn't like you saying the mid-century German word. So that's basically all I had to say about that. I have no idea how long I've been talking, but it could be the same amount of time as a video. 10 minutes. Well, that's shorter than an average video. And I
55 years.
55 years? Viewers. Oh, okay, that's about average. I don't know why my streams, doesn't matter what time of day or what day of the week, it's always like between 50 and 60 viewers who are there. Unless there's someone else streaming against me, in which case it's sometimes less. Fair enough. I don't know how many of you caught my stream on Friday night with my friend Landa. We were talking about swearing, and I think that stream kind of underperformed, perhaps because it felt a bit like a Bible study when I was marketing it, but actually it was much more of a looser discussion with I think we made a lot of interesting points just about swearing in general and how it's used in a social context, and it's a very interesting stream. I think someone commented saying that was the best stream that I've ever done, or possibly the best YouTube live stream they've ever seen, which is definitely high praise. I'm not saying it's that, but if you're interested in language, and it very well could be that for you if it hits you just the right you're just the right kind of person to enjoy that kind of stream. Okay, that's peppers. That pepper's not going to get any more sliced. This is the leftover. I'm going to put this in the fridge. So something else that I was going to make a video about, and I'm hoping that I've got past the YouTube censorship now, because this is a much more chaotic thought that I've been having ever since. If you're not aware, there was a case in the UK a few weeks ago where a teacher got in trouble for showing a class full of students an offensive cartoon of the Prophet Muhammad, and I think that teacher lost his job. But it wasn't really the point, because my video, I don't want to make a video about that event specifically, but it's not the first time that something like this has happened, where the parents of it particularly happens around schools, but the parents of Muslim students they take issue with something that a teacher has done often. That's how these problems seem to manifest. And I guess it kind of comes back to what I was saying about, or does it? Maybe it's not really related. I did mention Islam earlier, talking about ISIS, but I don't even know if if I can verbalize this properly. There's something big going on, I think, with Islam in this country, and it's not what people are saying it is. It seems to be that the fact that we have so many, or maybe not that many, but we have these concentrated communities of Muslims who are immigrants, and they're the children of immigrants. And the thing is that this issue of blasphemy is often framed as a free speech issue, and it kind of is. The fact that we should be able to, teachers should be able to show students this sort of thing, or at least if it's not completely appropriate, then that's a matter to take up with the school, and not something that should put him in, that should put a teacher in sort of physical danger.
Super chat.
We have a super chat? What is it?
Do you want to read it? It's pertaining to you. Not that.
I'm going to look at the laptop. I'm not a fan of Jordan B. Peterson, despite me agreeing with many of his views and his mostly noble intentions. That's interesting. Yeah, I mean the word fan comes from the word fanatic, of course. So I don't like to describe myself as a fan of Jordan Peterson either, just because it makes you sound a bit crazed and a little bit. It's almost like saying you're part of his cult. I'm not saying that he has a cult, but that's what it sounds like to me. But yeah, I guess that's the thing. It's like the fact that he's become a personality that people follow, or like that they live by his philosophy primarily, that's quite unusual. You get people like a Richard Dawkins or a Sam Harris, where they have a lot of interesting things to say, but there's not really an invitation there for you to live your life by what they're saying. The fact that Jordan Peterson is such a phenomenon that people are sort of defining themselves by the fact that they listen to him and they try to do what he says is pretty peculiar. I can understand it. I love his lectures, and I think he has a lot of good advice that you would probably improve people's lives if they could follow it. But it's not. 65 viewers. Well, welcome everyone, and thank you very much for the super chat. If you have any more to say, you can say it in the comment, or I'll go back and read. I always go back and read the live feed chat after the fact. I can't read it right now because I'm chopping anchovies.
Under the line, Joe says Muhammad is not a prophet to most people. He's only a prophet to Muslims, obviously. But most non-Muslims often out of fear call him the prophet Muhammad.
Yeah. So I use the term the prophet Muhammad. Well, to be fair, Muhammad is the most common first name in one world. So to say Muhammad, everyone knows what I'm talking about, but it does make sense to at least. I can't open these olives. You can open them for me.
Yeah, obviously.
This is the patriarchy at work. I can't open them. Okay. I'll get. That was quick. Thanks, patriarchy. Yeah, so the fact that you have to specify, it's like, kind of like how I don't even know if it's still the case, but there was the Prime Minister of India was called Gandhi, like up to very recently, if not still.
Really?
Yeah, it was like a female Gandhi. Like her name was just Gandhi, but.
Yeah, like most of the prime ministers have been relatives to Gandhi.
Yeah, well, it could be a relative, but you.
I'm sure that was his grandparents, wasn't it?
Could be. Oh, sorry, the off screen I'm getting.
Hitchens was correct 14 years ago. Hitchens said to strongly push back against these religious taboos, especially the Islamic ones, which are more likely to be given undue deference.
Yeah.
He says, and it was a good stream, and Mr. Poe made a lot of good points.
Oh, thanks. Sorry, you probably can't hear Mr. Poe off screen there talking, but he's just reading the chat. Thanks for whoever was complimenting our live stream. I think it was good. And yes, Mr. Poe did make a lot of good points. So I hope to have him on in the future. I mean, indeed, he's sort of on now, but he's just a little bit off microphone. So we've got 75 people on right now.
72.
Oh, I've got 75. No, 73. They've got. The more we talk about how many people are watching, the less people watch. It's kind of like the observer effect. But anyway, Islam, and I don't even know how to say this properly, but the fact that it's framed as a freedom of speech problem, and some people frame it as like an immigration problem and a cultural, it's all those things, I think. But what seems to be forgotten because it's so obvious, it's like missing what they call it, missing the forest for the trees. It just seems obvious to me that there's a serious cultural problem where we have, it's just assumed that that Muslims are going to be a lot more sensitive about their religion than Christians or Sikhs or Hindus. All of the other religions and indeed religious minorities in the UK, we just don't have these problems with them, and it's not just a demographic thing. And it's not even just about Islam. A lot of people are Muslim without this kind of intolerance, without taking offense at these sorts of things, and it's just, I don't even know how to say it, but it's not even about Islam. That's what I'm saying. It's like we have all these people who are just not integrated into British society, and the fact that they're Muslims is almost incidental to that fact. You could imagine that. I'm not saying this could ever happen, but it's not impossible that you could have, you know, a group of Christians who feel the same way. You get these religious extremists like, you know, like the Orthodox Jew population, or you get Amish, you know, the Jehovah's Witness. We have these extremely orthodox religious sects that do have a you know, a very strict way of living, but we don't worry about offending them. Even though they're not letting their kids watch Harry Potter, they're not letting their kids go to a public school. They have all of these very strict ways of living their lives, and they're probably not, you know, they're not fully integrated into the wider society in the way that I'm describing, and yet they're tolerant in a way that these extreme Muslims are just not. And I don't even know how to describe it, but whenever I see people talking about this, it just seems, I mean, I'm talking about like the mainstream interpretations of this type of event, and also just even the commentators on YouTube, they seem to, does anyone know what I'm talking about? Do you get what I'm saying?
Yes.
Okay. Have you got anything to say to it that would help me say it better? Cyclists?
Yeah.
What about cyclists?
Cyclists are the same problem.
What's wrong with cyclists?
Well,
I mean, I know what you think is wrong with cyclists, but
yeah, cyclists are, yeah, it's a problem scale. Like, you can tolerate a certain amount of divergence in the road network. Yeah, like horses are like bicycles.
but there aren't that many horses. So.
Yeah, there aren't that many horses, and everyone can just like, yeah, oh, there's a horse. It's more of a novelty. You slow down, go past it, it's fine. Like, if there were like 20% of the traffic was horses, you couldn't do it.
Yeah, we'd have to have a major overhaul of the traffic system if we were to accommodate 20% horses or even 10%.
Yeah, so there's, in a society you can tolerate this like yeah, that is the default of like British society. It's like, okay, there's lots of quirky people, there's lots of like, yeah, there's these people, they're weird, but you sort of like turn a blind eye.
They can do what they want.
They do what they want, we do what we want. Like, that philosophy completely falls apart once that population starts to hit some kind of.
You think it's a demographic issue where it's just the
a
size of the
combination
population?
Demographic and how much fuss you're making, and how much impact that has on other people's lives.
Yeah. Well, it's the thing. That's the thing that I keep coming back to, is that it doesn't impact anyone's life to not be able to show pictures of Muhammad. You know, that's not like a big problem for anyone, and that's why we don't have to think about it that much, because it's just not an issue.
Cyclists.
Well, I think the fact that a lot of cyclists die on the roads, and the fact that you have to, every time you overtake a cyclist in your car, you have to think about the fact there's a cyclist there. You can't just forget it. You know, the fact that you can't, like, I've never.
Nobody, like, we live in a cyclist intensive area, so you're probably more like it's the same like you live in our areas. Okay, these problems are not evenly spread. They're localized.
They're localized in particular areas. Yeah, well, I'm certain that the pictures on the Muhammad thing is just the thin end of the wedge, in the sense that that is the absolute hard line of, like, you absolutely cannot do this, and especially don't show an offensive cartoon or anything humorous to do with Muhammad. Is that another super chat?
Yes.
I was just gonna read this. That's from our friend Super Billy again. Coates' use of Red Skull to represent Jordan B. Peterson is utterly devoid of the nuance and intelligence you express, financially offsetting. But okay, thank you, Super Billy, for financially offsetting my demonetization. That's not really needed. I don't get ad revenue from videos or live streams anyway, just because I find ads on YouTube really useful. I turned it on for a few months, adverts on my channel, and I was making like 10p a month. It was like not worth it at all. So that's, yeah, thank you very much anyway. It'll go, you've already offset the cost of this pizza that we're making tonight. Does anyone want to see the chopping board? We've got quite a we've got quite a selection of toppings here now. It's always the same. I make the same pizza every week, twice a week. And toppings are always the same unless we run out of something. I posted it on Twitter and I got a few people saying that we need to cut out either the bacon or there's too many toppings basically. We got bell peppers, we got some olives, we got some anchovies, we got bacon and mozzarella, and then we'll put some cheddar on top of all that, and it's very good. So I'm not going to cut out any of those. Typically, if you go to a restaurant, the pizza only has, you know, in addition to tomato and mozzarella, you'll only have like 2 of these, or maybe 3. Not 4 is like often considered too many, but I think the anchovies, I think of them more as part of the sauce. They make a very a nice savory, salty. Well, if you like anchovies, you know what I'm talking about. But they mix it. I think of them as more as part of the sauce than an actual topping in and of themselves. You can see how like finely I've chopped it. Was that just for nothing? Or? Just for nothing. Thank you very much for whoever sent that. Hazel Hogan. Thank you much. Yeah, I'm doing very well tonight. I'm making money and I'm making pizza at the same time. I have no idea how the audio is going to turn out on this. It sounded like it was okay when you were playing it just now. Okay, I think I've covered both of those topics. This is the exciting bit where I'm going to roll out the dough, which if you watched my last live stream where I was making pizza, you would have missed that completely. So I would like to show that. I don't know if I can swap the camera around mid. Oh, I can. Brilliant. Okay, let's try this. Hello. Oh, it didn't work. There we go. So if I do this, you can probably see what I'm doing. Alright, let's just turn you off a bit. Ooh. Okay, I think that's pretty good. See, my worktop here. I've got some flour, and I've got my dough already made, but I've still got to roll it out, which is quite exciting. Are there any other topics I was going to do a live stream coming up soon about parenting, accompanied by Mr. Poe, and also just talking about childlessness. Basically, I'm not going to give parenting advice. My only parenting advice is just do whatever you can to survive. I don't judge people who do parenting like badly just because I know they're trying their best usually. But the parenting stream will be about the difference between being childless and having kids, and what that transition is like, and the choice to have children and not have children. There's a significant sort of subculture online of people who are child-free by choice and who sort of committed to the decision not to have children for a number of reasons. And I think that there's a lot of rhetoric in that kind of community that I have an issue with, and I think it's fundamental. Often it comes down to either being anti-human or being how should I say it? Selfish, I want to say, but or not even being selfish, a misunderstanding of what life is really about. So we'll be talking about that at some point, maybe next week. But yeah, I don't know what to what topics does anyone want to see covered? Yeah, any news stories you want my take on? Prince Philip has died. That was something that happened. I don't really follow the royal family stuff, so I can't say I really felt anything about that, to be honest. But I don't look down on anyone who does feel sad about it or has a feeling about it. This is enough dough for 2 pizzas. So I'll just move this out of the way. So what I'm doing now is just getting it into a ball so that I can divide it into 2, and then we're going to have the next pizza tomorrow. The dough goes in the fridge, we cover it up, and you can hear the counter creaking every time I knead the dough.
Are you a Republican with regards to the royalty?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have any opinions about the royalty. It's fine. I think they're fine. I'm not a monarchist. I don't know if we do any better being ruled by monarchs than government. I think probably, are there any countries on earth that still do monarchy?
Yeah, Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia?
The Arab countries.
Oh, yeah? Okay. So this is the hard bit. I don't know if these are...
North Korea is monarchy in effect.
North Korea? Yeah, it doesn't seem like the countries that are doing it are like, blazing ahead of us or anything. They're not. I don't think their standard of living is like a lot better, or that they're a lot wealthier, or that there's anything to envy. From a political theory perspective, I know there's more to comparative government strategies than that. But that's the simplest way of going about looking at these things, I think.
And anti-natalism isn't that wrong, just inhuman?
Anti-natalism isn't wrong, it's inhuman. Yeah, I think the anti-natalist thing, I'm not even facing the camera anymore. Yeah, the anti-natalist thing that's just one side of the child-free coin. It's not the beginning end of childlessness. There's a lot of people who are that. There's a lot of people aren't. I also wanted to talk about I've been looking at Christianity and religion in general, and I started thinking about contraception again recently, thinking about why, not the reasons why some Catholics are anti-contraception, but reasons why they could be, sensible, what I'd say, secular reasons why someone might be against contraception. Contraception is one of those sort of things that it just seems obviously good to, when I was younger, it's one of those like, oh yeah, obviously people should be able to use contraception, and that your kids' lives will be better if you actually plan for them instead of just having them every time you want sex. That just seems obviously true. But then I started thinking about it again recently, and I don't know, I'd like to get a anti-contraception Christian on, perhaps, to talk about that. I mean, there's a whole interesting thing about, I don't even know if it's still true, but a while ago, like years ago, there was a sort of story or a meme about how the Pope was condemning the use of contraception in Africa during sort of AIDS epidemic, which is still going on, and that was a very the fedora tipping anti-theists and atheists were quite quite smug about that, and quite upset about it maybe. Okay, the pizza's now up to its full temperature, which means that I've got to get going on this pizza, because now all the heat's just getting pumped into our flat. Yes, if there's anyone watching this who'd like to join me on a stream talking about contraception, either, whatever your opinions are, I think it would be good to get a few voices on. One thing about doing live streams that's better than doing just chat, like my normal videos in my car, is that I can just get people on to talk to, and not have to edit down like an hour-long video after the fact, as I've done in the past. And I'm actively pursuing someone to talk to about Hong Kong. That Hong Kong was in the news again recently, because a prominent, owner of a newspaper has been arrested by the Chinese government for supporting the protests. And I don't know if it's as simple as that, but something I think is very interesting and worth knowing is that just trying to find anyone who lives in Hong Kong who will talk to me about it is difficult, because the level of censorship is so high. Like, I don't know what they're afraid will happen, but I'm guessing they think there's a risk of being, I'm not saying they're wrong, but the sense is that there will be a punishment for speaking to someone like me about what's going on. From anyone who's critical of China. They describe it as being critical of Beijing. I don't know why they describe it like that, but I guess because Hong Kong is China in some senses, it doesn't make sense to be talking about being anti-China. They oppose the Chinese government. Anyway, you can probably guess my feelings about Hong Kong if you know anything about me. It's time for this the dough to go onto some paper. I'm sorry if that was really loud. Super chat. What does it say? From the English Loyalist, we have $9.99. What do you think of UK sending ships into the Black Sea to counter Russia? I don't like Islam personally. I see a danger to all cultures. They force you to conform or are met with violence. Or be met with violence. I guess that's two different observations in one super chat. I don't resent that, but I just want to make sure those two things aren't related. Sorry, just handing that back to my husband. Yeah, to be honest, I really don't know much about Russia and the Black Sea situation. How'd you like that little maneuver? This is how we get the dough onto the paper without stretching it too much, without poking holes in it, as it often happens. Yeah, I don't think I know enough about that to comment, really, except to perhaps talk about foreign involvement in general. I mean, it's one of those things that, just to sidestep the question, I was overhearing some guys at work recently talking about politics, and what was interesting is that for me, politics is all this, it's immigration, it's Islam, it's social justice, feminism, like all of that stuff is interesting to me, and it seems like that's what's going on. But to these guys that I was overhearing, they were just talking about foreign policy, which is kind of what I used to think politics was about before I got into politics. Talking about like who are we at war with, what's going on with, who we helping, who we against, all of that stuff. And for me, it kind of felt like what they call a white pill. The fact that these guys at work, they either didn't know or didn't care to talk about all of the crazy modern stuff that's going on, and it kind of just reminded me that there is more important stuff than pronouns going on at the moment. So let's just get this tomato on here. I wish I did know more about the foreign policy stuff. Mr. Poe, you got any knowledge on that?
Which foreign policy state question was this?
This is about the Black Sea and England moving against Russia.
I didn't know the UK moved it. I heard that America was moving into the Black Sea. But, yeah, it's obviously concerning, isn't it? Like Russia is not a serious threat in a full-blown hot war. But Russia is a threat in that it's willing to be a bit crazy.
They can do anything.
Well,
I mean, they're not gonna declare war on us, though, are they? I mean that.
No, that wouldn't be to their advantage, but it's kind of a big bluff. Yeah, I don't even know about Crazy Ivan.
I mean, no. I mean, I've heard the expression, but in a completely different context.
I believe it comes from in the Cold War. Russian submarines would like point blank charge American submarines.
Like a nose-on collision.
Basically, play chicken with them.
Okay.
I don't know what this where it's just like they were heading towards a radar signal and like they didn't know it was a submarine unless the submarine moved.
Okay.
or something like that. Wherever it was, this is what I've heard, is that like the Russians would just like charge the Americans, and the Americans always move because they value their lives.
Yeah, yeah.
That's Russia's advantage. They don't value their lives.
Yeah, well, that's always the meme I heard about in the Second World War, is that they, the Russians were just, they had so many people and they weren't embarrassed about, they weren't shy about enlisting people, women, old men, children. They could just get anyone. They had sort of infinite resources, and aside from it being winter and all that, on the very simple level, they say that the war was won with English intelligence and American technology and and Russian blood. It's like that's
basically it's all like it's like a complicated game theory thing where we know Russia doesn't want to go to war, and Russia knows that we really don't want to go to war, and we know they know this,
right.
But it's so Russia knows that he can do something. He can attack us in a way that might trigger a response in a normal situation, but America won't fully retaliate.
Yeah.
By going to war.
Okay.
But like it's dependent on how well does Russia judge America's resistance to going to war, basically.
Yeah. Okay.
Like,
yeah.
Russia will poke at America in a very aggressive way, and America almost certainly won't respond in a full-blown direct response. It usually finds other ways to respond.
I mean, on the trade sanctions and stuff like.
So that's usually how America tries to. They'll militarily. I heard there was like.
We're not going to buy their video games anymore. I don't know what the exports of Russia are except for the Metro series.
America has like militarily attacked Russia in recent years, but not.
Was that Trump?
No, I think it was Obama, or maybe it was around that sort of time. It was basically they were Russian. This is what Russia does. It has mercenaries. These are like they're Russian army that have been officially put off the books and made into mercenary units to give Russia deniability about being directly responsible for any attacks that they're doing. Anyway, I heard that like there was a large, effectively like Russian brigade in Syria or on the border or in Iraq or whatever around that area, and American intelligence knew it was them and just like decimated them. And then Russia just had to, they couldn't do anything because that's the whole point.
Okay.
Yeah. This is the kind of game they're playing in Ukraine. They're not directly intervening. They're sending mercenaries to the separatists.
I was listening to Alex Cathedra this morning, and she said something about the you remember that was it Novichok attack?
Yeah.
Something about that, like that was coming back again, even after nobody's talked about it for 3 years.
No, just because of the it turned out that the same people were responsible for the Czech explosion.
Oh yeah, that was
like
it. Yeah.
10 years ago.
Yeah, I wish I knew more about it, to be honest. What was the second part of that question? It was about Islam. Yeah, that's what I'm saying about Islam, is that you can call me say that I've been indoctrinated, but I honestly don't think there's not much intrinsic to Islam that makes it any more, that makes the doctrine intrinsically any more violent than any other religion. I mean, I know it's an extremely smooth-brained thing to say that, what all the things that God does in the Bible, and the Crusades and all the evil things that have been done in the name of Christianity.
You are smooth-brained, that's true.
I just, it's you can follow Islam without being, without being a dick about it. Is what I'm saying, and people do. This bacon is really not spaced out very well. I thought I had more. Maybe I should have more bacon.
Well, I believe that's Sam Harris and the like would argue against that point.
Sam Harris would argue against it. I mean, yeah, I mean, they think that religion is inherently evil.
Not religion, you're saying?
Islam.
Islam specifically.
Yeah, I know. Well, yeah.
That's Sam Harris's position, not mine.
Okay. Well, that's what I'm. Come back to what I'm saying about Red Skull is that I think if you're saying something that religions aren't just random; they're based around philosophical ideas that are attractive to the human brain. You know, they're very effective means, to go very Richard Dawkins about it. I'm not saying that makes them less valid, but that's they're only less cute and valid. Okay, I think we're all done except we need just a layer of cheese and a layer of herbs. I'm saying that when you've got a philosophy that people like so much they're willing to die for it, then you can make them do anything.
And you get super chat over here.
Oh, I got another super chat. This is Mr. Spoon for £5. In Tony Blair's day, politics was defined by foreign policy. It was most of what we spoke about Iraq, Afghanistan, etc. It feels like 100 years ago. Yes, exactly. That was a period of life when I was extremely not interested in politics because I was only like 12 years old. Thanks. We're off to Button Moon. We followed Mr. Spoon. Yeah, his profile picture is literally Mr. Spoon from Button Moon. It's not a coincidence.
I didn't hear that.
Yeah, when we first came across Button Moon, it's an English TV show for everyone who's not familiar, for children, and I was only aware of it's like quite old, so I was only aware of it via my husband, who's a bit older than me, and we watched an episode and it was extremely cringe, politically speaking. It was just I won't go into it, but I mentioned it on Unpopular Opinions, the stream that I'm sometimes on with the Academic Agent, at that time. And now it's like 3 years later, and he's saying he's going to do a stream about how subversive it is, in terms of messaging, child messaging. All right, I think so the stream's almost up when this goes in the oven, so I'll have to once this goes on, I'll have to thank you very much for coming, especially to everyone who's sent super chats, and I hope to see you again soon. And I'll
Wait. You're posing it before I see the pizza?
Before I see the finished pizza. Yeah, I mean it's gonna. Once this pizza's out of the oven, I'm eating it, and I don't want to be dealing with no super chats.
Yeah, well, you can do it when the 2 minutes go up.
What do you mean? 2 minutes? You mean I'll end it before it's out of the oven?
Well, you can eat it. And, who cares? It's a bit weird to anticlimactic to not show pizza when it comes out.
No. I mean, it's going to be 8 minutes from now? It's going to come out of the oven? 6 minutes. You think we can stall? I mean, I'm going to be cleaning up. It's going to be really noisy for the next 6 minutes. You see how?
People came to see my pizza.
I don't think they did. I didn't put pizza in the thumbnail.
Who wants to see pizza? Can ask them.
All right, you type 1 in the chat if you want to see me finish this pizza. Alexa, pizza. Alexa, pizza time. Okay. Yeah, okay, they want to see the pizza. Asking a question like that, it's always like, yes. It's like, no,
Yes,
if they didn't want to see it, they would have signed off by now. So that's why when I pitched the idea, that was my other idea for a video coming up soon, was to interview our friend's 9-year-old son, who I just thought it would be interesting to talk to him about like just random stuff, like just see what he thinks about anything, like not about politics or anything. I won't ask him anything like extremely difficult to, I don't know, stuff that kids shouldn't really know about anyway. I won't be asking him about pronouns or feminism, because I don't think he really has much of an idea anyway. But just talking about what it's like to be a child at the moment. I don't know any children. I don't know what it's like to grow up as a 9-year-old in 2021, with a pandemic and everything. So that was an idea. Why was I bringing that up? Did you want me to make cookies?
Here we go. Keeping it clear.
I'll clean up. I mean, I can start making the cookies. Anyway, if you're interested in seeing, that was it. So the point is that I asked people on Twitter if I should make a video like that, but I made sure to add an option, which was would you rather see a video of an ordinary style with an ordinary kind of topic? Because otherwise the option is like, I'd rather see nothing, which is, that's not really the alternative. If the option is seeing something mildly interesting and seeing nothing, you're going to vote something mildly interesting every single time.
So I'm saying, why aren't I helping?
He's helping by reading the super chats. This kitchen is very small, so often if you have someone else in the kitchen, it's more of a hindrance than a help. Right, this is the dough putting back in the fridge. You can see it's already expanded again. Let's get this cookie dough out. Oops. And now I bet you want to see the cookies as well. So I'll try and put you down again. I know it looks like a big poo wrapped in cling film right now, but this is just how we keep the dough. So these are cranberry and white chocolate cookies, and we make them every single week for Mr. Poe's packed lunch. So in the morning he makes a sandwich and he gets out one of the cookies that were made on the weekend. Every Sunday we make these. That's probably a bit big. Make them small, so that the dough lasts longer, basically. It's not like it's not much cheaper than just buying a bag of cookies. But the thing about buying a bag of cookies is that you often just eat them all. I think making them yourself kind of I don't know why. It just helps to the fact that if you eat one, then you're gonna have to make it again if you want another cookie, instead of just going out and buying some. So it's kind of a rationing thing to make sure we don't just eat them all before they are supposed to be eaten. So the ration is 1 per day. I don't eat the cookies, but I do often make myself a cheeky Sunday cookie when I make the cookies for the whole week. So the pizza's coming in 2 minutes. That's how long I've got to make 5-6 cookies. Yeah, I can do it?
No.
I've already made 3. So I guess when I said to make 5-6, I wasn't being accurate, because I didn't make the cookie dough, but I did cut the chocolate chips. These aren't the chocolate chips you just buy.
How do you keep yourself eating the dough?
I eat the dough. That's the short answer. The dough doesn't taste as good as cookies. It's got that kind of raw egg taste, which is your body's way of telling you that he's not supposed to eat it. No, I don't always eat the dough. We've often got something a little bit better than eating dough in the house. So I don't have to resort to it. But if I'm desperate, sometimes I crave sugar and I just want to eat something. Yeah, I'll make myself a hot chocolate. It's sort of the last resort before I'll eat the cookie dough. A hot chocolate is superior to eating raw dough. Okay, that's 5, and we got 1 more. And then we'll need some baking paper, and then that's the end.
You got some money, some knock, 19 knocks.
Yeah, I know that.
North Korean.
Yeah, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I know it's not North Korean, but yeah, that's our friend. I recognize the thumbnail. It's console. It's 2000 or something. My fingers are getting so sticky. All right, that's 6. All right, the pizza's done, and my fingers are so sticky. All right, let's turn the oven down. Yes, I think so. So I'm gonna wash my hands. Can you move that out of the way? You can use it and then get the pizza out. Yeah. Yeah, it's got a vegetarian thing. That's it. You've seen your pizza. I hope you're happy. There's people who typed 1. Do you want me to see you slice it and eat it? I'm betting you do. You perverts. I'm just kidding, obviously. Okay, let's get this out of the way. Get it on the chopping board. I already did. Okay, well. Okay. I find it'd be better on the top shelf because the pizza down is so hot.
Alexa, 10 minutes.
They'll be burnt in 10 minutes. Okay, well, they're your cookies. You're looking in the wrong place. Alright, we're doing the slicing and dicing. I'm quite meticulous about getting the slice exactly down the center as close as possible. And just before I go, because I'm going to cut out as soon as I take this first bite of pizza, I'm going to leave the stream. I've been playing Demon's Souls, which is a game I started but never completed. Years ago I started playing it. And I've started playing it again recently. I was thinking about live streaming it, but I also think that, with all of the random live streams I've been doing, I'm probably just going to lose a lot of subscribers, especially the new subscribers, if I just post random stuff to the channel. So I'm thinking about starting a new channel, or maybe just streaming to Twitch. So then the people who are on Twitch are going to be ones who want to see they want to see video game live streams anyway. So I don't know. Let me know if you're interested in that. I'm having a really good time playing Demon's Souls. Dark Souls is one of my favorite games ever. So I'm expecting to like Demon's Souls because I've heard there are some people who think it's better. It doesn't seem like obviously worse. So I think I'm going to like it. And it's quite, you never get to experience the same thing twice. You can never go back and play Dark Souls again for the first time. But going back and being able to play Demon's Souls for the first time is something almost equivalent. First, I didn't make you any tea. Did you make any?
Oh my God,
I think I boiled the kettle for you. Well, anyway, this is Mr. Poe's 2 slices. First 2 slices.
I'm going to get dry now.
No. Sorry, you'll have to wait anticipation for just 1 more minute while I make a cup of tea. I guess you want to see that live stream too, don't you? But I'm not going to burn the top of my mouth with this by eating it too quickly. So we'll just have to wait. Okay, here we go. Try and tear this pizza apart. Oh, come on. Okay. Here's my plate. Let's put these guys on here. A little bit of bacon, trying to liberate itself. And we'll do the old selfie camera. I know you're just looking at some pots right now, but soon. Here we go. Why have I got a white line? Oh, I know what that is. Oh, never mind. Okay. It's pizza. I watch cooking channels, so I know that watching someone eat what they just cooked is an important part of the process. So. Tastes like anchovies and cheese. It's nice. So, thank you very much for joining me. I'm having a half more.